CCU Orlando, Natural Awakenings Magazine, and Unity of Nashville present The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly show featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 58, Your Karmic Play. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice. I am the host of this amazing show and so happy to be in 818 Studios with my incredible producer today.
Hello everybody, my name is Dave Croft. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to August 2019. It's August. Oh my gosh, it's August.
Oh my goodness. Also a pleasure for me to have my son in the studio today. He just did a recording of his own.
Yeah,
so.
Do you want to give a shout out to the room, Josh? Hey,
exactly right. So, I'm so happy to have Josh with me today, and really happy about some stuff we recorded for him to share with one of my classes. So he's been doing a lot of study on his own. So today is the beginning of August. Hard to believe, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. We are in year 2 of the Authentic Spiritual Journey.
Absolutely.
And as always, we thank you for your support, and I really want to acknowledge all those people who are coming forward, and we just had one of our lifetime members up their support by $15 a month, and I can't tell you what that means because every bit of that money actually is going out to try to spread our message.
Absolutely.
I am buying advertising to try to get the message to more people. We want this to be worldwide, and we honor your participation in that.
Yeah, and so you'll hear her name. She became an angel patron, and angel patrons are those patrons who pledge $25 a month or more.
Yeah.
And we get to say their lovely name at the end of every single show on the channel.
And that is amazing. I just honor you and bless you for that always, at whatever level people give. And when we were starting the podcast, the first gift was a $2 gift from China.
From China.
That it may as well have been 100.
Yep.
So I just honor whatever level you are able to give and are giving, because it is increasing our reach, and we are using that money to, again, advertise what it is we're doing so we can reach more listeners.
Yeah, speaking of reaching more listeners, we are honoring our listeners today in the Philippines.
Oh, very good.
Thank you very much to our Filipino listeners. And, I love Philippine culture, and we had one of our librarians back in Memphis at Visible was Filipino, and amazing culture, and I'm just so fascinated. And there is a comedian whose name totally escapes me, but he's from the Philippines, and he talks all about Filipino culture and jokes, and it's just really rich heritage, and very cool.
Yes, and very family oriented as well. And I had a minister years back from the Philippines, and was really, really blessed by him. So I'm thinking of him and his family right now, and they taught me a lot about commitment, actually, to one another, commitment to family. So anyway, thank you for joining us all the way from the Philippines. And again, please share it with your friends. We want as many people as possible to listen, and we bless you and thank you for listening today. And I don't know if we have an exact number for downloads yet.
We're at almost 23,000 downloads.
Almost 23. Yeah, almost 23. So that's cool. We're definitely going to meet my goal by the end of the year. And I think we're going to crush that goal, and it's going to be way bigger than I imagined. So
can you say your goal again was?
Well, my goal by the end of the year was 30,000.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just the beginning of August.
Well, first it was 25, and then I didn't think it was enough, and I moved it to 30.
Yeah.
So it may have to move it to 50. I don't know. I'm going to pray about that. But I'm happy to be with you today, and always happy to be bringing you the show. The title of today's show is Your Karmic Play. Your Karmic Play. This is show 58. And this idea was first introduced to me many years ago, and I have since seen its validity in my life and looking at my own journey. And it's really, this show is for people who are willing to look deeply at their soul's journey. What are their choices creating for them? What are the people, places, and events that are impacting them? So this is going to be a pretty deep show. So sit back, relax. And this is probably also going to be one you're going to listen to more than once, especially if these ideas are new to you. I want to encourage that. Your karmic play. what this means is that your life right now, if you were to look at it from a karmic perspective, there are certain players. In your own karmic play, of course, you're the star.
So when you say play, you mean like the play, like you would go to the theater and
exactly.
a play.
Exactly right. So, right, when I say the word play, I don't mean like you're goofing around. I mean your karmic play is like if someone were watching your life, they would be sitting in a theater seat and looking at a stage, and you would be the main character.
You'd be the star.
You're the star. That's right. You're the star.
Center stage.
Center stage,
lights.
baby. Exactly. Yeah. And the people that you've chosen to have in your life with you, they're supporting actors and actresses. Some are going to make cameo appearances. Some are going to be people that bring you right into yourself. They're going to be mirrors for you, and these are going to be the difficult life situations. So imagine, even if you will, you were watching your life, even on a stage, even on a movie screen. What would you be seeing? I have a friend, and I'm going to bring him on the show soon. He's a senior minister at Unity of Nashville, and they recently committed to sponsoring us for 2 years. But he was in television, and he really taught me to look at life. Something happened with a friend of mine, and I said, I really need your help figuring this out. And he said, well, if you were watching a movie, what would that mean? And I could tell him. And so it's really interesting to relate that idea to the spiritual journey, because where we are right now, where you are, I should say right now, where I am right now, is a result of my karmic decisions, result of my thoughts, my words, my actions, the energy I put out. And a couple shows ago, I know we were talking about energetic boundaries, and we were talking about energy. This is just another really aspect of that, because the energy we put out, the intentions we have, the dreams we have, and most importantly, what creates our karmic play really is desire. And when I say desire, it's within each one of us. We are a soul, and desire exists at the level of the soul. And there's things we want to do. There's things we want to accomplish. There's things we want to manifest. And Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said desire is the onward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. So this means that desire is the thing that moves us forward on the journey. So desire's pulling us forward. So thinking of that, think about your life as it is right now. Whether you're in business, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're retired, doesn't matter. Think about your life and think about the decisions, that got you here. Those decisions, those people, those places, those events, those situations, all of those required your participation and your decision, and that helped create the very situation you find yourself. I'm going to pause right now to say that to even listen to this show, you have to be willing to take responsibility for your actions. You have to be willing to take responsibility for your life and to realize that you are where you are, not because you're a victim to life, but because of your decisions, because of your karmic play, because of your intention, because of your desire, because of your actions, because of your words. Everything you've done, everything you've said, everything you've intended have gotten you to this point, and there's no one to blame. We are not a victim to life. Now, do negative experiences happen? Yes. And how we respond to those things is what creates our karma. So
Right, exactly. And, I've always looked back at my career and jobs and, from working at a dollar theater and third shift American Express.
Right.
But I can look and trace where I am today, career-wise, through the path of all the jobs that I've had. And that led to this and this led to that. And they were all stepping stones.
Oh, exactly.
And so it's easy to kind of look back and see it in a career, but that can be a little bit more challenging from a life perspective. You're like, oh man, that kind of crummy thing happened, and how did I grow? How did I respond to that? But from a career standpoint, it's easy to see the stepping stones, the footprints behind me, I should say, and how it all led here.
Absolutely right. And the word karma simply means, by the way, action. Right. So ultimately, you hear a lot of people talk about good karma, bad karma. So what that means, obviously, is what's happening in your life right now is a result of past karma. In other words, past action. And action is not just a doing; it is even thought and even speech as well. So when you think about that, you think about emails, you think about social media, you think about conversations with friends, how you show up for yourself or others. All of these things have what I like to think of as karmic implications, meaning that the intention, the drive, the desire behind all these actions and speaking really matters, because everything you do, say, think has karmic implications, meaning it has an impact on what happens next. I have a friend, and she came and spoke at the church several years ago. She's from the Guangming Temple, and she said, in Chinese culture, we love to go see fortune tellers. But I always tell my friends, you don't need a fortune teller. Why? Because you'll know what your future is by the decisions you make today. And I said, well, we teach that in Unity. And she was like, you do? You're not like other Christians? Yeah. I said, well, the truth is Jesus taught this, really. He said, judge and you will be judged, forgive and you will be forgiven. That everything we do, we expect to come back to us.
That's the sowing and reaping. That's
right.
The Judeo-Christian version of that.
Exactly. You reap what you sow.
Right.
That is karma. That is a perfect description of karma. So I want you to just kind of let yourself think back, like right now even, what are the people, places, and events that are going on in my life? Like, who's in your life? What's happening? How did you get there? I'm leaving space on purpose. Mm-hmm. It's like, just let your mind go, wow, I've got this going on. I've got that going on. This is coming up at work. This is coming up in relationships. So this is really important to me, to be able to know as an adult that I am not a victim to life, that my life is a result of my choices. So.
And that puts you in much more control over it. You're not just, flopping around in the breeze.
That's right.
Letting life happen to you.
That's right. I am in the driver's seat of my very own life, right? And so the good news is, if the people, places, events, and situations where I find myself, if I don't feel they're for my highest good or for my family's highest good or whatever, then I can make a choice to move out of that.
That's right.
I can make a new choice about my life. Now, it doesn't mean the choice is going to be easy.
Or instant.
Right. That's right. That's right. Or like if I find myself in a job I don't find fulfilling. We've talked about this before. If I'm in a job I don't find fulfilling, well, then I start looking around and I say, well, I'm here. It used to be fulfilling. It isn't now. So what does that mean? Well, it means my soul has some new desire that wants to experience something new. So, and in all of these choices that I'm talking about, relationship, work, there's also so much work to be done on the level of the personality, because sometimes we're supposed to stay somewhere until we get a lesson, and the personality goes, I'm done with this. But if we don't figure out what the spiritual lesson is, and we move out before we're ready, the next job is going to be the exact same thing and the exact same lesson.
Yeah, you still need to learn that lesson, right?
But it'll have a different face and a different name.
Yeah, and they might, beat you up upside the head a little bit harder this time.
Exactly. That's right. Spirit has a way of getting our attention.
If you need to learn patience, then they give you a kitten. And if you didn't learn it from the kitten, then maybe you learn it from your boss next time.
Yes, exactly. One of my dreams many years ago was to work with other ministers, and I was really desired to have this particular job, and it was probably the most difficult and toxic work situation I'd ever had. And when I came to terms with the fact that I wanted to be there, I had to figure out what was I there to learn. And so, I really believed that my desire got me there, but it was like, okay, what am I here to learn? So part of my personality really wanted to have this job, but my soul was guiding me there for something different than my mind thought. So the personality sometimes the soul really uses the personality to get us in certain situations and certain places. And then when we're there, there's a spiritual lesson we have to learn. So the lesson I really got to learn was that what was said or done to me did not define who I was, and that I didn't really work for any other person. I really just worked for God. And so my affirmation through that whole time was, I only work for God. And so it was interesting because one day I was in my office and a coworker came in and saw it because I'd printed out the affirmation and put it on my inbox so that if I ever received something, that was always in the forefront of my mind. And he goes, "Can I steal that?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That affirmation. I need that." I said, "Of course. We all only work for God. Doesn't matter who our boss is." And so it gave me a real sense of relief and a sense of calm because I thought I chose to be in this place. So so my prayer became, "Okay, God, I'm here because I wanted to be. Please give me the lesson. And when I'm done, let me know I'm done. But I don't want to leave till I get it. I don't want to have to do this again. So I don't work for this person. I don't work for that person. I work for you." And I still to this day feel that. I'm employed at CCU, but ultimately I work for God. Yeah. And so this podcast, I'm working for God. God wants this message out. That's what I'm doing. So, if I felt like that would change, I would shut it down. If I was not supposed to be at CCU, if I felt God said I was done there, I would be done. Yep. Right? So that was a wonderful, wonderful lesson. And it gave me a lot of freedom in the choices I made. And then it took about 6 more months for me to get, clear with clear and complete with what I was doing. And I did this release process where I released my job and I said to God, "Okay, God, I'm ready for something new." And literally the next day, the phone rang offering me a position at Unity of Phoenix, which was a wonderful work situation. So anyway, I'm saying all this to say that wherever you find yourself, you are in a karmic play of your own design and making. The other piece is that wherever you find yourself, and it can be work or a relationship, you're only there because there's lessons for you to learn. So you want to get clear, what is the lesson? And then your choices, either to stay in that or to move out of that, are your defining moments.
Yeah. You're the playwright of this play.
You got it.
You might not be the executive producer, right?
Right.
But you're the playwright.
That might be G-O-D, yes.
Right. You're the one determining what the character does next in response to whatever situation or villain, or, if we want to put it in play terms. Yes. You're the one who decides what happens to that character.
Yes, exactly right. And so think of this, that every choice you make is a defining moment in your life. Every choice to say something, every choice to not say something, every choice to move forward, every choice to not move forward. And this is, so this is how, and you've heard me talk about soul work. The soul work becomes listening in times of quiet to that, the scriptures call it the still small voice, to get clear on what is yours to do. So it will require you journaling, probably. It will require you spending times in silence, learning to do maybe mindfulness techniques and breathing exercises so that you can get clear and clean in terms of separating from this personality self that wants to run everything and have you running in all different directions. And realize that every choice you make is a defining moment. So you want to be as clear as possible in your steps. Now, again, remembering that every choice you make now is deciding your future. Very, very important. So we're thinking about today the people, the places, the events that are surrounding us, the situations we find ourselves in. We're looking at that. There's no blame, but we're looking at wherever we find ourselves, we're saying, okay, is there something I need to learn? What's the lesson? And there's a lesson if you're in a difficulty. If things are going smooth, well, enjoy the ride, friends. Don't look for a problem if there isn't one. But if there's something that's difficult for you, what is the lesson you are learning?
And lessons aren't the same things as punishment.
Exactly.
Like if you're in a bad spot, God's not punishing you for not doing something or flipping off somebody in the traffic or whatever.
Right. No one should stay and be abused.
Sure.
But if there's something that, like in my case, in my work situation, there was really something I needed to learn there. I really needed to learn to stand up for myself. I really needed to learn that what somebody said to me or about me was not defining who I was. So all those were really, really important lessons. And then it just got to a point where God said, okay, you got this. You're strong enough, time to move. And as soon as I released my attachment, something new and better came forward for me. So that's what's so important about being, as you said, Dave, really being in charge of your life. We have a lot of power to move and change, the direction of our lives. But Spirit's waiting on us. Spirit's waiting on us. So remember, every choice for you right now, today, is a defining moment. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back, and we've got several more points that are going to help you move forward and really operate in your soul's best interests as we look at our karmic play.
We'll return to the program in just a few minutes, but first, we wanted to give a special word of thanks to our podcast partner, CCU Orlando, who has helped make this episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey possible. CCU Orlando is a welcoming community dedicated to transforming lives, celebrating diversity, and supporting soul growth. CCU Orlando is located at 771 Holden Avenue in Orlando, Florida, with Sunday services at 9 and 11 a.m. You can stream services live online as well as learn more at christchurchunity.net. We'd also like to thank Natural Awakenings Magazine of Central Florida, Greater Orlando. Each month, Natural Awakenings magazines across the country take a practical look at the latest natural approaches to nutrition, fitness, creative expression, personal growth, and sustainable living. Natural Awakenings magazine is a free publication and is available in selected stores, health and education centers, healing centers, public libraries, and wherever free publications are located. You could learn more, including advertising opportunities for your business, by calling 407-628-0705. And finally, we'd like to extend our special thanks to Unity of Nashville, a sister ministry of CCU Orlando. If you're searching for a like-minded church community and a personal connection that supports your heart and mind in the Central Tennessee area, then join Unity of Nashville at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning at 5125 Franklin Pike. For more information, head over to unityofnashville.org. And now we return you to this week's episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey with your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
I wanted to revisit some of the material we were talking about in the first half because of the importance of choices as your defining moments. And I want to encourage you, after listening to the podcast, to spend some time journaling and contemplating. Even as you're just going down the road, just turn everything off, allow yourself to really think back to what have been some of the defining moments of your life, choosing to be with someone, choosing not to be with someone, and what led to that decision. Choosing to move, say, your life from one state to another, which can be a huge transition. And those defining moments create new karmic plays. So, like Dave, I was thinking about when you and Shannon made that big move from Memphis to here, and I want you to tell us a little bit about it. But my guess would be, without knowing, I know a little bit about it, but virtually your play, except for you and Shannon as the main players, as the stars, pretty much, I bet everybody changed in your life. In your play, there were brand new people, right?
Oh, yeah. It was like, the Brady Bunch goes to Europe. You take the entire scenery has changed, all the supporting characters, everything changed.
Yeah.
But moving out of Memphis, it was a bumpy ride out, but it was definitely time. And God really provided us both very good jobs at Full Sail at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah,
it's really, really amazing. But no, we knew one person here who ironically used to be the librarian in Memphis, and she worked at Full Sail. Wow. And so we knew one person, and that was it. We were pretty fried on church. We were like, nope, we're never darkening the door of a church again. And so it's not like we could instantly plug into a denomination or something and have that support.
Right.
And it was just me and Shannon and some cats
right.
just floating around. So it's a good thing that we get along so well and have for 25 years.
Exactly.
But no, we didn't have really necessarily any support system. And we've never been the type to really make a ton of like work friends, especially, in Memphis, it was a little bit different because it was like work, but it was also ministry. And so that gets really personal relationships. But at Full Sail, we didn't go out and hang out with, We started when we first got here. We did it a couple of times. We were like, hey, some friends invited us out to drinks or to dinner or whatever. And we did it, and we're like, all we do is complain about work the whole time. This is not fulfilling. Right. And so, or talk about work.
I was going to say, what a great way to create negative karma for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about how bad work is.
Yeah. We had a couple of coworkers who just really just kind of like, oh, this person. And so, yeah, I look back on it now, and that would be a scene I would delete, right? That would be a deleted scene, and that would end up on the cutting room floor.
Well, what I think is interesting about it, you're one person who, you knew here. See, that's a result, though, of your karma also. I mean, it's like, this is what I mean. And I wanted you to talk a little bit. I'm so glad you did. There was one person you knew here, just so happened. Of course, it's not just so happened. Right. This is a divine appointment, that connection, and that she had been at Full Sail, and then you came, and you were at Full Sail.
Yeah, she was at Visible.
Yes.
And then she left Visible to come to Full Sail.
Right. But I mean, you had a relationship with her there. Yep. And so that's what I mean in terms of karmic play. So there's a connection, and so the idea of karma very often is whoever we're with now, there's a good chance we've been with them before, and there's things we're working out. There's things we're working out, which means especially when difficult situations arise, and there's a lot of emotion to it, more than like, it seems like, why am I so upset about this? So there's often karmic, old karmic energy that's trying to be worked through. And I know the time in leaving Memphis was tough, too. But you both, I know, tried to leave it clean and clear, as you possibly could. So it doesn't surprise me then that you moved into, like I say, 2 great jobs for both of you, right away, even though you didn't know anybody here.
And if you want to know another crazy karmic connection, that librarian, her name is totally flaking on it now, and I apologize to the universe for that. But Kelly, she has now. She left Full Sail like only a couple years after we got there, and she got a job at Appalachian State University, which is where Shannon and I met.
Wow.
Going to school at App State.
There you go. So you guys have some kind of karmic connection there.
Yeah, there's some sort of metric triangle of those 3 cities in our life.
Well, and of those 3 souls.
Yep.
So even the family we find ourselves in has karmic implications. I've heard so many people over the years say, I don't know how I was born into my family. I'm nothing like them. I'm like, well, there's more there than meets the eye, because chances are you were born into that family because of the karmic lesson you needed to learn, and even desired, to learn. So, yeah, when there's somebody like that in your life, pay attention, because that's a wonderful, good, positive karmic connection. So, you hear a lot of talk about bad karma. Well, this happened because of karma. Well, karma is not, that's kind of a punitive understanding of karma. What we want to remember is that everything that happens is virtually a result of karma, but that, nobody's trying to punish us. We're not punished, remember, for our sins, but by them, that certain actions have certain consequences.
Yeah, I used to think that karma pretty much was like, hey, be a good person so in the next life you don't come back as a bug. As a cockroach or
You're
something.
You're not squished.
Right, exactly. Like that's how you're going to do it. You're going to end up as a homeless dog if you don't be nice to people.
Well, and there's a kind of a defeatist feeling too when people say, "Oh well, it's my karma." Well, okay, maybe rather than worry about that, the concern should be, now that it's here, how am I going to choose? Right? Again, choices as defining moments.
How are you going to playwright the next scene?
Exactly. And so this is where the next point comes in I want to discuss, which is really working with your soul. And I've talked about this from time to time, but I really want to give it some time today, is following our internal guidance. It's like you have an internal GPS built in. It's like you have this spiritual DNA. You have certain experiences you want to call to yourself, certain things you want to experience so that you can grow and evolve, which it doesn't mean all you do in life is, work a little job and go to the beach on the weekends, even though those are wonderful things. It means you're going to work through difficult situations. It means you're going to draw certain situations to grow and expand. Because the idea is we want to move into our liberated self, into the soul that is free and not bound by all this personality ego junk, right? So So the more we tap into our soul, the more we can move out of this, these situational places we find ourselves that are super difficult, where we feel a victim to life, right? So I want to encourage you to really take time to really learn to listen to the voice of your soul. Learn to follow your internal guidance, and practice it in small ways. As you become more and more comfortable, you'll see how in the bigger ways, you move into that more easily. We've talked about that a little bit in the past, but first is just hearing and being able to discern which is the voice of ego, which is the voice of spirit. And I think a lot of people, that's the number one question I get. Well, I hear you talk about following my guidance. Well, how do I know if it's, ego or my soul? Well, one of the clear ways is it good for you? And not, do I want it? Or not, do I like it? Okay, friends, hear me. I didn't say, do I like it, but is it good for me? So if you're in a tough situation and your soul, and you feel like you're really being guided to stick it out, like I was in that certain job situation. Okay, is that going to be good for you? It's like, all right, as I took that into prayer, I was said, okay, I'm not getting hurt physically. I'm not, my spirit's not being squashed. It's a difficult work situation, but is there something I need to learn? And every time I would ask Spirit, is there something I need to learn? I had a resounding feeling of yes. Right? And so sometimes when you're hearing or feeling this guidance, sometimes it'll be a feeling in your gut. Sometimes the answer will come from outside of you. Somebody saying something like, I always knew you were supposed to work here. Like you say to Spirit, I'm really seeking guidance. Give me an external.
We'd call that confirmation.
Yeah. Give me some external confirmation for, this direction. And my feeling is Spirit loves to support us this way, because anytime I ask for that kind of support, it just comes in spades. I get it over and over and over. It just happened yesterday. I was trying to figure out now what the question was, but it was a wonderful affirmation. Oh, I know what it was on Sunday. It's a dumb thing, but I got a lot of, or to someone else it might sound dumb, but I'll tell you what it was. There's this jacket I have that I really love to wear, and I'd never worn it with this particular shirt and pants, but I just felt really guided to wear it. I know it sounds funny. And I said, okay, Spirit, I don't know. I don't know why I feel like I'm supposed to wear this, but I'd love confirmation. And somebody came up to me and goes, I don't know what it is, man. You look incredible in that jacket. And I like 5 or 6 people said something about it. I was like, okay, Spirit, okay.
Got it. Message received.
Message received. And so it was a little thing, but for some reason, that was like a little test for my spirit or something, to just trust, even though I don't know. It may sound funny.
No, I think it's, especially if it's something
somehow I'm embarrassed right now.
No, don't be embarrassed. Well, if it's something that maybe you're a little insecure about or something, just to have somebody to come along and say, yep. For example, I've recently been going to a beard guy. I've shaved my own beard. I've tended to my facial hair for 20-something years.
Right.
But just within the last several months, I've started going to a beard guy, like an actual barber in Winter Park, and it's the whole deal with the hot towel, like jazz music, leather seat. It's really like a man experience.
Men place.
Right. And so I was like, is this worth it? Is this, I don't know, man, it's $50. That's kind of a lot for a beard. And so I was really kind of doubting it. And don't you know, I got all kinds of comments about how good and tidy and clean and healthy my beard looked.
I noticed it too, actually.
And so I was like, okay, all right, Jordan from Atomic Barber, you got it. Because I had never, in all of my years, been complimented on my beard. I have gotten comments on my beard. When you have little children in the supermarket, just point and go, beard. You know your beard's too bushy and big, so you need to dial it back a little bit, which is my metric for when I need a trim. But having somebody just come up and give you that support, and you're like, okay, that was not money wasted. That was a good decision, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, and so and even though these are seemingly little things, what's nice about it is that it's teaching you to listen to the voice of your soul, and it's teaching you to recognize how things outside of you, can be confirmation for you. And I shared that, I was going to say years ago, how I had done that every day. I would ask God's guidance for what to wear and all of that. I started doing it that way. I started learning to follow guidance that way because I thought, nobody's going to get hurt in the process. And it was just learning to listen for what I was supposed to do. And it's not like God is telling me what to wear. It's like I'm listening to the voice of my own soul. So it's like, how do I want to present myself for the day?
And I found that learning to listen to those kind of little things, which
Yeah.
are seemingly inconsequential.
Yeah.
My beard looks bad. Nobody's going to have an accident or anything over that.
Exactly. Right.
But I have found that by learning what that feels like, learning what, hey, this was a good decision. This was right. That's what it sounds like to hear and discern.
Yeah.
So when the big things come along,
Yeah.
I found myself questioning myself less.
Right. So when you're listening to that inner voice, the ego voice in me is often very busy and arguing, trying to convince me. It almost badgers me inwardly. and so the ego voice always argues, and the spirit voice, speaking in and through my soul, is very calm. It waits for me to listen. And I often get a physical feeling of relaxation when I'm, feeling that guidance come through. It's like, okay, yes. And it's like it settles in my body almost, this feeling of yes. And so you hear us talk so often, about times of prayer and meditation, of time of journaling, of, like Dave does his morning miracle, that the time in the morning or the time in the evening, whatever you choose to really dial into spirit. The reason is you're going to be acting from ego. There's no question about it if you're not doing that, because everything is getting your attention. You're bombarded with images, with ideas now, the news. I mean, my son and I were reading the paper this morning, a physical paper, and he said, look, the paper didn't used to be like this. It was all sensational about who chopped off their fingers and who had an accident and all the bad this and that. So everything is trying to get our ego's attention. So learning to be quiet, to hear the voice of spirit is so, so important. And you will feel this sense come over you when you've connected. And so the spiritual discipline becomes, do not act until I get my clear yes, right? So all of us, yes, you listening right now, you have an internal guidance system, and I want to encourage you to tap into it in times of silence. I also want to remind you that even when you're asking, the answer may not come right away. It might not come directly through you. It might come through a friend. It might come through something you hear. But often it's going to be a sense, a feeling, a knowing, what's yours to do.
And I have found that if I felt like I got a yes on something, but something else has come up which might make that yes now a no, but I don't hear the no, then I'm going to keep with the yes that I do feel was confirmed.
Right. And so notice that as you begin to move forward, what you feel is your yes. What support is available to you as you move forward? What support is showing up for you as you move forward? Is your path illumined, just another step and another step and another step? Or do you feel like everywhere you look, a door is closing? So, pay attention to those things. And it's okay if we have to readjust, because sometimes, like I say, the ego's really driving us and we can get tricked. And that's why we're always looking for this kind of feedback loop from the universe of, okay, is this the right direction or not? And so the final piece we want to talk about today is taking action, taking action. The number one thing I hear in ministry, in my work with people one-on-one, in classes, people will say, well, I knew it was mine to do, but I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So if you know it's yours to do and you don't do it, you are creating a problem for your soul, because the soul is not meant to be stagnant, and you will be unhappy. You will create physical problems for yourself. You will have issues you did not have before. You will be irritable. You will be unhappy. You can move into anxiety and in depression if you are knowing what's yours to do and not doing it. So I want to really encourage you to act, but again, only when the action is clear. And remember, I said the way you know what's for you, it's your guidance. Is it good for you? The second piece that's just as important is it good for everyone? Mm-hmm. If you have voices telling you to do bad things or hurt yourself or somebody else, that's not spirit.
Yeah, that's
that just has to be said though, because I've had people say, "Well, I thought you said blah blah blah." No. Hear me. If it's good for you and good for everyone, then it's it's for your soul and from your soul. But taking action is a very important part of the process, because remember, all of what you're doing right now is creating your next karmic play. So the question begs to be asked, if I were designing my own life, how would I want it to look? Then my actions, my choices need to be in alignment with that. So you are creating your next karmic play right now. Who do you want invited into that? What are the characters? What are the lessons? What do you want to learn? And I'm in the process of this right now in my very own life. I'm making new decisions for myself. I'm calling new people into my life. People are supporting me as never before from all around, not only around the country, around the world. So listening to my guidance and taking action, I'm creating a new karmic play. So what is the play? What do you want the feeling tone of your life to be? What direction are you moving? And then making sure the people you call to yourself, the places you find yourself, those times you have to make those choices to become those defining moments, really pay attention to that and really dial back the ego so that you can tap into the voice of spirit to know what's yours to do. And then as you're guided, to make really centered action to act in the best interest of your soul.
One of the things that Shannon and I are doing is consciously bringing people who would have otherwise been a cameo or just a little bit part, like man one and woman one. Mm-hmm. We are elevating them into primary returning characters.
Yes. Because
we are finding that there's life there.
Yes.
There's support and there's because me and Shannon, we're just so kind of insular and very private people, and we're kind of expanding the cast of returning characters in our life, and doing it consciously and loving every minute. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great.
Yes, and always, every show that we're providing for you is so that you can have more tools to act in the best interest of your soul. All of us have had times, I'll even say years, lifetimes, where we've not acted in the best interest of our soul. So our work is to reawaken consciousness. Our work is to be aware of what's happening so that we can make new choices to move our souls forward. I want to live a soul-liberated life. I want to be free of this karmic ego crap, and I want to move into the good that God has for me. And I know as I wake up, as I make good choices, as I follow my inner guidance and take action, that Spirit is showing up for me. And I know it's the same for Dave and the same for all of you as well. So I want to encourage you on the journey, friends, to continue to seek out people like yourself, people on the spiritual journey. Again, sharing this podcast with your friends will provide amazing fodder for conversations, and you will see the people around you that are really wanting to wake up with you and then encourage you on the journey. We don't want you doing this stuff alone. We want you to be encouraged, supported, lifted up, and we thank you for joining us for this important show, Your Karmic Play. So I can't wait to hear from some of you about the direction you're heading and the work you're doing. So again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and hit the bell and all the other gobbledygook that goes along with social media stuff. And if you have questions, you can always let us know at experienceofthesoul.com/contact. Or if you are watching this on YouTube, you can put it in the comments below, and we check those every day.
Okay, thank you for joining us, friends. Blessing on the journey.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey, presented by CCU Orlando, Natural Awakenings Magazine, and Unity of Nashville. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is also made possible through the continued support of our angel patrons, Dove Borland, Peter Gibson, Paul Caswell, JJ Hamilton, Arlene Meyer, Kathy and Terry, Marcia Mott, and Nora Miles. If you would like to support the channel as a patron on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. And if you enjoy this podcast, help spread the word by sharing it with your friends and leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, or the platform of your choice. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2019 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.